Hi there, Prairie View. It is Wednesday, April 22nd, and it's time for another midweek video update. It is Earth Day, and thankfully the weather is a lot nicer today than it was this time last week, to where I can actually be sitting outside and talk to you from my back patio. But in all seriousness, happy Earth Day. Enjoy this beautiful weather, get outside, go for a run, exercise, do some yard work, something like that. I thoroughly believe 6 weeks into this whole experience that is very beneficial for your physical, mental, emotional, and even your spiritual health to get outside in God's creation. And with it being Earth Day, just a reminder, we've talked before on Sunday mornings at Prairie View about how even though we as Christians do not worship the earth, we certainly appreciate and want to nurture and tend and enjoy the earth that God has given us, because it's a product of His hands. It's a creation of His hands, and so we take care of it as a way of worshiping and honoring Him. So, just a few thoughts here on Earth Day. I did want to mention a couple other things, like we've been doing each week, just a few minor updates, some new, some old. The biggest new one that I wanted to bring to your attention is that over the past week or so, we've certainly started to see a lot more talk of opening up, whether it's opening up of local economies or statewide or nationwide. Governors and the president and healthcare professionals and talking heads on TV, they are all trying to debate opening up and how do we open things back up? How do we get back to normal in a way that is safe, in a way that's responsible, in a way that's wise, in a way that addresses the very real economic fallout of the past month. People really are hurting, and there is some truth to the idea that we can't keep doing what we're doing forever. So there's been all kinds of talk about opening up, when to do it, how to do it. If nothing else, this talk of opening up for the past week or so, it is a kind of glimmer of hope. Just the fact that we're even getting to a point of considering taking some steps back towards normal life is a good sign, and it's a good thing. We've been at this for a while, and we certainly hope and pray that all the steps that have been taken have had a positive impact on maybe helping us get over this virus, temporarily at least, or managing it and getting back to some semblance of normalcy. So one of the questions that naturally is going to come up is, well, how does opening things back up affect the church? And the truth is that we don't know for sure yet. That is something that the elders and I are going to be discussing and thinking about and praying about in the coming days and in the coming weeks. Like everybody else who's got a small business, like everybody else who has a gym or a restaurant or whatever it might be, we want to discuss and think about how to safely and wisely and responsibly open back up as far as the church goes. We recognize that being together as brothers and sisters in Christ in person is irreplaceable. We've talked about that every single Sunday morning for the past 6 weeks. However, we also don't want to be reckless or irresponsible when it comes to gathering together again as a church on Sunday morning. So, when the time comes, we're going to look at our options. We may have to get creative and figure out how we're going to do this. And obviously, we'll be looking to the leadership of government leaders, health professionals, all those people as we figure out what to do and how to do it. Again, we don't know much yet. There's still a long way to go and a lot to talk about. But what I can say with some level of confidence, I think, is that we're not going to wake up one day, in all likelihood, and instantly go back to normal. We're not going to flip a switch and have 100 or 120 people at Prairie View on a Sunday morning like nothing ever happened. We'll have to be thoughtful. We'll have to be creative. We'll have to be wise about how to start to transition back to life together as a church from what we've been doing these past 6 weeks. But I would ask for your prayers and your encouragement as the elders and I discuss that. That's something we're going to take very seriously. And obviously, if and when we have decisions to make or announcements to share with you, we will do that, and we'll keep you all in the loop. And again, we'll be praying for time together again sooner rather than later as a church. And the next thing I wanted to mention is just the Sunday morning sermons. For what it's worth, I genuinely enjoyed this first sermon of the Songs of Praise sermon series, maybe more than I've enjoyed preaching and preparing a sermon in a long time. I just found it to be incredibly rewarding for me to just spend time thinking and reading and writing and praying about God's greatness. That's just such a privilege and such an honor and such a joy. And last week was a good reminder to me of just how much of a privilege and honor and joy it is to talk about the greatness of God and consider the greatness of God. And I hope that you benefited from it as well. And I'm also looking forward to this coming Sunday sermon. Last week we talked about the hymn, How Great Thou Art. And this week we're going to focus on the hymn, Amazing Grace. There is just as much to be said about God's amazing grace as there is about God's greatness. So I really enjoyed last week's sermon, and I'm also looking forward to this week's sermon as well. We'll make that available in all the same ways that we have been making that available over these past 6 weeks. And of course, we'll have resources throughout the rest of the week. Tomorrow we will have another devotion from Zach. Who knows, we may get another kids video before the week is through. I think we'll also be having a men's breakfast this coming Friday over Google Hangouts. So if that's something that you'd be interested in participating in that you haven't done yet, feel free to let me know. Reach out to me, reach out to Chris Ernst. We'd be happy to get you plugged in. And then, of course, again, on Sunday morning, we'll send out the same things we've been sending out. It's been such a great gift to have Mark and Amy singing for us on video on Sunday mornings. The kids' resources from Zach have been really helpful for my family, for Javen and Nolan and Calvin. And Nancy's prayer requests have also been very good as well. And while you're at it, if you get the chance, thank the elders for doing communion meditations and announcements, things like that. A couple of those elders, at least, have taken time out of their schedules to record a video at home or even drive to the church and spend time recording those videos for you. So make sure you thank those people if and when you get the chance. And of course, like we say every single week with these videos, let us know if you need anything at all. Don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for continuing to give. One of the really just encouraging and even humbling experiences of this past 6 weeks has been just the ongoing generosity of people at Prairie View. That's long established. Prairie View has been a generous church for a long time, and I and my family, we've benefited from that numerous times and are so grateful for that. But these past 6 weeks have just been another reminder of how generous this church is. We are certainly not a perfect church, but we are a generous church, and thank you so much for continuing to give and support this ministry, even when things are so very, very different. And then, of course, stay in touch. Don't just reach out to us if you need anything. Don't feel like you're bothering us. We want to talk to you. One of the best parts of my week over these past 6 weeks has been just calling people on Tuesday mornings or Tuesday afternoons and catching up with people and hearing people's voices. If you haven't done that with me or Zach or Nancy or the elders, please do that. We'd love to hear from you, love to know how you're doing, and love to catch up. And then finally, we encourage you to continue praying, not just about the obvious things, things related to the coronavirus, but for other things as well. Even in the midst of this, life goes on for our church. We have families in our church that even in the middle of all this madness and all the attention paid to the virus, we have people in our church who are moving. We have people in our church who are expecting babies. We have people in our church who are switching jobs. We have people in our church who are caring for elderly parents and family members. Those things are still happening. Life goes on, even in the midst of this. So there are still plenty of things to pray about, in addition to the coronavirus. So please keep praying for your brothers and sisters in Christ. Know that we're praying for you, that I'm praying for you, and what a gift it is to be able to be part of a church where we can tell each other that we'll be praying for each other, and we actually mean it, and we actually believe each other. So keep praying for your brothers and sisters, keep praying for our church's leadership, keep praying for our nation, our state, our city, the whole world as we navigate the coronavirus, and of course be praying for an end to come relatively soon. Again, we're seeing some glimmers of hope. Maybe the light at the end of the tunnel is starting to approach, but we could still have a ways to go. So that is something to pray for. Pray for patience, pray for endurance, and pray for safety between now and the time that we are able to be together again on a Sunday morning. So that covers it for our midweek update. Again, hope you've had a great past few days, a great week, and we look forward to being with you again soon. So please stay in touch.